From Relay, this is Connected, episode number 573. Today's show is brought to you by Gusto and Ecamm. My name is Myke Hurley, and I have the pleasure of introducing Ricky Benchman, Federico Vitici.
Ciao, Myke.
Ciao, Federico.
Hello.
Ciao, Federico.
How
It's
are
just the
you?
two of us today.
Just
me
the
and
two of
you.
us.
Just me
Yes.
and you. I'm continuing to be the rock that's holding this show together, you know?
We are Steven-less this
Stevenless.
week.
Yep. No Steven.
Uh-huh.
Stevenless. But we do have, I'm going to put the first link in the show notes, maybe the first two links in the show notes. We'll find out, see how it goes, see how the conversation goes, to Steven's weblog. We're going to do, what is the thing? We're going to ping back him. Is that what it's called?
Back.
When you,
Yes.
when you link back to people? I don't really know what you're pinging.
We're going to put him in our blog roll.
We're going to put him in the blog roll of the podcast.
Yes.
As we just mark that the St. Jude campaign is over now for the year. As a community, we raised $753,756.
Incredible.
Not that I would ever ask people to give less money, but I wish there was $3 less raised, you know? So it'd be $753. But, you know, those $3, they go to the kids. So, you know, thank you very much to whoever donated that $3. Yeah, just super proud. Like, you know, you never know how it's going to go. As you said before, like the world is always very different every single year, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the work that we've all done together in 2025 to raise $750,000. I think that brings us, we've passed 4.8 million together in the last 6 years. So I'm very excited that next year we'll pass 5 million. So I look forward to that when the time comes.
Don't you ever wish that like the world had a snow leopard year?
Like a bug fixes year?
Yeah, like like a bug fix year.
Yes.
You know?
Well, we're
Like
just Grand Central Dispatch, but for the planet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
That would be a good year, man. I wouldn't mind. Bug fixes and performance updates. We update the world frequently, so you get the best experience. That's what I would like. Last week, me and Steven, I was going to say Federico, but no, you're Federico and he's Steven. We spoke about the iPhone Air a little bit more because Steven was having a bit of a conundrum about what he was doing when it came to the iPhone Air. But you are, I'm assuming, still dailying the iPhone Air.
Absolutely.
So I would like to know a little bit about your, like, basically, you know, it's been a couple of weeks now. Where are you in your journey?
I love this thing.
Okay.
I continues to feel like the future. And I was hoping that feeling wouldn't go away, and it doesn't for me. Like when I pick it up, I'm reminded constantly of how cool it is that it's so thin and light. When I pick up Sylvia's iPhone 16 Pro, it's like a little brick in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so glad that I'm embracing this lifestyle. On a couple of occasions, it has happened that it ran out of juice by 7 p.m. because maybe I was busier or I woke up earlier and I used my phone more. And in that case, I just had to plug it in and care for it. It's like sometimes you do need to micromanage this thing a little bit more, but it's fine because, like, on balance, the feeling that I get, the fact that my wrists don't hurt anymore when I'm holding the phone in portrait and reading long articles. I'm doing so much reading on this device, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen, right? That I wouldn't have to carry the iPad Pro with me in the bedroom at night when I just want to get some reading done before going to sleep. That's exactly what's happening with the iPhone. So usually what I like to do, like for example, right now, the phone is charging at my desk on the MagSafe charger because I'm doing nothing with it. So I am topping it up frequently during the day because I work from home. When I'm driving, because I'm not at home, I have to use wired CarPlay anyway, so it's also charging. And in those situations where I use the phone a little bit more, I carry the MagSafe battery with me. And then at night, when Sylvia and I are watching something in the bedroom on the Apple TV, I plug it in a little bit more. and then I get to use it. Silvia goes to bed usually like an hour and a half before I do. So I get to use it again for 90 minutes to get some reading, doom scroll a little as you do, watch some YouTube.
Little treat, doom scroll is the
Little,
treat.
yeah, just a little treat. Just let me catch up on the ugliness of the world, just for me, just for 20 minutes or so. Love it, delicious doom scrolling, and I watch some YouTube, and then I put it back on the nightstand on the charger, and that's it. So haven't missed the camera. The camera is an interesting story.
You can't solve for this, right? Like you can solve for the battery.
You can solve with your legs in the sense that if you want to capture a subject, you got to walk up to the subject a little bit more, which is what I've been doing. So in a way, you could argue that the iPhone Air is good for exercise because it forces you to move more.
Well,
if you want to get
the problem I have had with the Air is the opposite of like you can't get the camera too close to things, right? Like it doesn't have the ultra wide, which is, while I am not a fan of the macro mode, there are times when I will use it to get a picture of something that's close for whatever reason. And it has no affordance for, well, Air is actually kind of an affordance for that. I've been meaning to talk about this. Christian Selig wrote a really good blog post about this where he is also using the iPhone Air. And he's like, in the scenarios where you want to get close to something, just do the 2x crop and you can get really close to it. And he's just like, and his argument is like, why doesn't Apple just do this in software the same way that it does the macro mode, like using the ultra wide? So I'll put this link in the show notes. I don't know if you'd ever seen this, Federico, but I think is a pretty good tip for iPhone Air users. You just activate the 2x and then you can get close to, I don't know, taking a picture of a label of a bottle of wine or whatever it is you want to do. So that exists as a solution.
Yeah. But otherwise, I've been taking 2x pictures of my dogs.
Yeah.
It's been fine. And it's just...
You're happy with the crop now because previously you were very upset about the crop.
I am still upset about the crop, but it's not like...
What am I going to do?
What am I... It's not like if I yell at the phone, it's not like, it's going to fix it. So on balance, the feeling of using the phone is more important than the things it doesn't have. That's sort of my conclusion.
Okay, I like that. That's very, very zen. I mean, it is a truly just marvelous, like in all sense of the words, device. I'm considering myself incredibly lucky that this is the year in which I decided to be a 2-phone person because I have like 2 radically different phones and I get to use them both throughout the day, and I like swapping between the 2 of them. And for me, I'm happy with my choice. I prefer the Pro for my typical personal phone, and then the Air is like a phone for scrolling and for working and dealing with messages and stuff, because it's nice to actually have a phone with a bigger screen again without the downside of now the phone is too big and heavy. Right, because the screen is much big. It's significantly bigger than my Pro, but it's so I like that. I actually like that, but I don't feel like I have some of the downsides of the bigger screened iPhone. You were going from a Pro, not a Pro Max, to this, right?
No, from a Pro Max.
You were going from a Pro Max to this. The screen size is smaller than a Pro Max, right? On the Air.
Slightly smaller, but it's fine. It's actually better for my thumb.
Yeah, it's like not in a way that you notice, and it kind of fits. Are you using any cases or anything like that on your Air?
Nope. I tried both the Sooty foam back, and I got a couple of days ago the Nomad leather back. What's it called? Foam back? Yeah, I don't remember. They're fine. They're thin, but even though they're thin, they still take away from the default thinness of the device, which is not what I want to have. So,
no.
I like to live dangerously, I guess. I mean, I do have Apple Care, the fancy one, Apple Care Plus, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So I love that's the thing. Maybe it's silly. I love the feeling of this device in my hand, and that's more important than everything else right now.
I absolutely agree. I mean, this is the kind of the joy of it. It's like it feels so small. But I will say, right, you're extolling the virtues. You're having a great time. It seems like you're I think you're having a better time with this than you had with the
The Plus last year.
Because I think that
because
shine wore off a bit faster.
yes, absolutely. Yes.
Because
yes,
you were
did.
missing a lot, right? Like, I wish this phone really isn't missing a lot. You've mentioned the two places where you're missing it. It's like the battery, which is very manageable, and the camera, which is manageable to a point. But I could imagine more people having a issue over the long term with the camera than the battery, because battery problems are solvable in a ton of different ways. But like, so you're talking about this, you're very excited about it, but like, do you not worry that you're going to get really used to this phone and then you're going to double it next year with a folding phone?
Oh no, because I'm doing this all in service of having a foldable from Apple. That has been my dream for the past few years, and this is why I'm doing it, because I want to live with a lesser device than a Pro one for a year, and just get used to the idea of it's not going to have all the things of the Pro phone, but it's going to have something special to make up for it. And I know that it's not going to be like, especially when folded close, like it's not going to be as thin as the iPhone Air, but that's the whole point, because when I do open it up and it becomes a little tablet, then it's thin like an iPhone Air, and maybe even more next year, who knows. But the foldable from Apple has been my sort of
You're a white whale.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phone that is also a small iPad. Yes, that's I have been waiting for this for, I don't know, 6 years at this point, 7 years. So I'm doing it all because of that rumored device, and also in the process, the phone looks great now. So
I'm still very much of the opinion that it is at least, I think, more likely to be a phone that's a bigger phone. Like, I don't think iPadOS is going to appear in the middle of that thing.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be iPadOS.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to have some form of multitasking.
Yeah. Well, I agree, but it's going to be super strange when they're like, hey, so the iPhone does multitasking, but it's not what you think. Like, it's
if they tell you at WWDC next year that your phone your iPhone app should account for a new kind of auto layout and resizing, that's gonna be the, what do they call it, the canary in the coal mine. Although that's sort of for bad news, right? In this case, it's good news.
You would still use it in the same. It's just like an early warning sign, essentially. That you got to be aware of that. Poor canaries, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
poor canaries.
I wish there was like a non-animal related metaphor for that.
There's a company that I get ads from a lot that they sell a product that does this.
The canary?
Yeah.
And
it's called the Birdie Fresh Air Monitor.
Yeah, the Birdie Fresh Air Monitor in the Coleman. Yeah.
No, but it looks like a canary. And if your air quality is bad, it falls down. Like it drops.
Oh.
I think this is one of the many products that is advertised to parents. I get a lot of these now.
I see. Birdie. Did you get one?
No.
Okay.
No. I have air quality sensors that are less of a conversation piece, which is more what I'm looking for in my life,
Yeah, I get it.
I don't need a conversation piece for my air quality monitor. I just have one of the Aqara ones, and we also have like a Dyson fan that has it is a air purifier and it has air quality monitoring in it. Best of luck to this company or whatever, but it seems a bit much to me.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Gusto. So you've started your business to do what you're good at, not to spend hours calculating things like tax withholdings. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR, so you can focus on why you started your business in the first place. This is me. I've been using Gusto for years, and it's really great. I didn't need something that I had to learn, like a whole new system, taking me away from my job. Gusto is really easy to use. That's important because getting things like tax withholdings correct, that's important. You want to do that. A little professional advice for you. And Gusto makes it really simple to do. Gusto is an online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use. So you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. Gusto has a whole bunch of features. I want to talk about 2 of them. One, you get unlimited payroll runs for just one monthly price. There are no hidden fees and no surprises. You can save time with automated tools built right in for things like offer letters, onboarding materials, direct deposit, and more. And it's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Plus, you don't pay a cent until you run your first payroll. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/connected, and you'll get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months free at Gusto, Gusto, gusto.com/connected. Our thanks to Gusto for their support of the show and all of Relay.
Guess who's back? Back
Guess
again.
who's back?
Slideover's back.
Slideover's
You could have
back.
thunk it. Here we are, in weirdly beta 2 of iPadOS 26.1.
Yeah.
What a beta 2 feature. It's like,
Yeah.
here you go. I have not installed it because I'm off the beta train now. So I don't really want to put the betas on my devices anymore. Especially not for a feature that is like my personal feature that I want. You know, like if I was one of the people that really wanted Slideover back, maybe I would go for this. But I am not one of those people. So can you explain what has happened here? Like what have Apple actually done?
Okay, so they massacred the complaints from people saying, yeah, the new windowing is great, but it's still not a replacement for Slideover. I wrote this in my review. Jason wrote this in his review. We all were pretty much in agreement that there was something special about Slideover that was maybe worth preserving in some way on iPadOS 26.
And at least the impression that I get from both you and Jason is like it's not that you're necessarily the ones clamoring for this, but you're in tune enough with the community that you know it's something that people want.
Something that a lot of people, I got a lot of comments from people after my review saying, yeah, the new window is great, but boy, am I sad that Slideover is gone. So what Apple has done here is kind of restoring Slideover in the sense that right now in beta 2, Slideover is back, but doesn't support multiple apps. Multiple apps in Slideover, if you recall, was introduced in iPadOS 13, the first version of iPadOS, when it was changing its name from iOS to iPadOS. They introduced multiple apps in Slideover with a dedicated app switcher for Slideover.
Yeah.
So you could cycle through, you could swipe or swipe up and hold to have multiple apps in the Slideover UI. The Slideover that is coming back in 26.1 beta 2 is one window at a time only. So they have sort of fused Slideover with the new windowing mode of iPadOS. And you can do one window at a time only. So you can choose via the menu bar, via keyboard shortcut, or via the traffic light controls. You have this option called Enter Slideover. So you can take whatever window you have selected and put it in Slideover. By default, it takes the classic shape of Slideover on the iPad, which is basically like a tall iPhone layout on the side of the screen. You can still swipe from the edge of the display to invoke Slideover, to hide the Slideover app. But there's a twist. Even though you cannot have multiple apps, Apple did add something new to Slideover, which is you can resize the Slideover window.
Now, that
is interesting.
Is very cool. So, like, I could have a full-sized window that just appears and big. I mean, like a big window, essentially.
You can make it big. Yeah, you can. So the Slideover window gets a liquid glass sort of like edge all around it, sort of like to indicate that it's the Slideover window. You can resize it and make it as big as you want, and you can hide it on the side of the display. You get the usual like pulling indicator at the edge of the screen to tell you, hey, you have a slide over hiding in here. But yeah, you can resize it, make it as big as you want, make it as small as you want even. So if you want to make it a little square, you can. If you want to make it a giant rectangle, you also can.
So I said, this is good, actually, for me. Like, because I actually was in a scenario today where, thinking back, I would have enjoyed having slide over. So I was doing prep for the show. So I had a web browser on the left-hand side, I had Notion on the right-hand side, and I wanted my Apple Notes. So I was just like, command tabbing between them and just flipping between, the spaces because I'm using Stage Manager. But it would have been so much nicer to just pull that note in quick, tap a link, and not have to deal with the animations, So that would have been cool. I mean, there were ways I could have done it by like rearranging window, but like I didn't want to permanently arrange the windows in such a way that I would have to see all three at once. You know what I mean? Like I wanted half. So having a little slide over Apple Note in that scenario would have been pretty great, actually.
Yeah, and I think at this point, what Apple has done here, it is slide over. They're calling it slide over. It really is window pinning at this point. Like because it works alongside the existing windowing of iPadOS. So what you're essentially doing is you're pinning a window on screen and saying you have to float above the others, and I can hide you and toggle you back whenever I want. It is essentially window pinning. There's many utilities on macOS that do this sort of thing. I mean, you can replicate this kind of behavior on macOS with better touch tool, I'm sure. But here it's like it's slide over version 2. I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, Apple must have heard the feedback, must have heard the complaints. Are people going to be satisfied with the idea of single window slide over? I think people were just missing slide over, not necessarily multiple apps in slide over. I may be wrong.
I would expect they will take care of like 75% of people's requests with this.
Yeah, I think anecdotally speaking, most of the slide over usage that I've seen is like people that just want to keep, I don't know, Apple Music or 1Password or Apple Notes in slide over.
It feels like a purposeful thing that you're attempting in a certain scenario. Like I don't think I need, and I would expect most people would not really need a whole app switcher inside of that thing again. You know what I mean? Like it feels a bit like a bit much. Like I don't really know who's using the device like that. Does it work in single window mode?
What do you mean?
Well, because you have the traditional experience and the windowing experience. Can you do slide over in both of them?
So let's see. If I disable, no, nothing happens.
See, I think that's going to upset people.
Nothing happens because you don't get the menu bar, you don't get the traffic light controls, you're in full screen all the time, and if you swipe from the edge, nothing happens.
I think a lot of the people that are asking for slide over are also asking for split view, and what they're asking for is actually just, I don't want this new window system.
It works in Stage Manager, I can tell you. It works in Stage Manager.
Wonderful. I love to hear that.
And in the regular windowing.
Okay, so if you want to use slide over, you have to use windowing. But you can, I mean, like the thing is, and I think what Apple in this scenario are trying to get across to people is like, it isn't that much more to learn to get split view and slide over in the new windowing system. Like Apple do make it very easy to put the two apps together, and then you get the little slidey guy, and it's way more customizable than it was before, right? Like it isn't just like a few steps along the way. You can be really particular in how big you want each window to be. I was benefiting from that today myself. So I think that this will satisfy most, and I think it's as much as they're probably going to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good balance of like you can have split view, you have the freeform windowing, and single app slide over. I think it's a good mix.
I think it's good that they actually also spent some time clearly like thinking about what slide over would be now. Like they didn't just bring it back, right? Like they've made it work with the new system a little bit, which I think is good. Like the fact that you can resize it, like it doesn't just fix you to a size, you know? I think that's good.
Yeah, and it's good that addressing some of the complaints of iPadOS 26 so quickly, because in addition to slide over, they have also added microphone gain controls.
I can't believe they've added this so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it helped that during the beta season, I know that they got a lot of feedback from people like me and Jason and Chris Lawley and others, like heavy iPad users saying, yeah local capture is great, but I need to be able to control the gain of my microphone. And this is also something else that they're adding, I believe, at some point, the option to choose where you're going to save your files, right? So I think it's encouraging that they're listening to feedback and they're moving quickly. I hope this is a continued trend and not a one-off.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go back to a pre-iPadOS 26 world where we were getting a couple of features every 2 years.
Because especially the gain thing is super niche and it's solvable outside of software, right? Apple could just say, buy a microphone with gain control. Yeah. Like, you know, there is a solution there. Like lots of hardware microphones have hardware gain control. USB ones. It's like just do that. We'll see you in 2029, right? Like you just deal with yourself over there. Yeah. Like I think that this is really good because I do feel like the microphone thing was a little bit of a like, here you go, you know, like take it and leave us alone, you know? Like you've been asking for this forever, just there you go. So for them to actually have implemented this system so quickly, I think that's fantastic. Oh, a month after release, and they put this in. I think that's really good. It isn't just iPadOS that got some changes. There's a couple of other little bits that I wanted to mention. One that I've been seeing a lot is the slide to stop on alarms. Yeah. So now instead of the two buttons, the stop button is a slide. Now, I have to ask you, Federico, is this a choice or is this just what is going to happen now? Do you know?
What do you mean?
Because I don't think I want to do this to my alarm. I don't think I want to swipe the phone.
I think you will have to.
Okay.
I don't particularly care personally because I have my alarm on the Apple Watch.
So do I now. So this isn't so much of a problem anymore. Okay. Because I mean, I remember saying on the show, and I stand by it, I was surprised that I was not having problems with the alarm system because when I saw those two big buttons, I was like, well, this is going to be a disaster. I'm going to be hitting the wrong thing all the time. And I had a period of time where I was waking up every morning with my iPhone because I wasn't wearing my Apple Watch. And it was never an issue for me. Like I was never hitting the wrong button. But clearly, again, people are hitting this as an issue would be my assumption. And so they've come in to address it. Quite quickly, but so I think that's again also.
I think
encouraging.
It looks nice.
It looks nice. It looks nice. This is I think a tasteful way to deal with this issue, where they're like invoking some UI that we all love, right? The slide to unlock, which is not a thing that exists anymore. So you know, not bad. I would say not a bad way to deal with this.
Yeah.
And it seems like in general, there's some design tweaks. So, like, there's lots of left alignment for headings and explainer text.
Folders,
And there's some liquid glass tweaks as well, it seems like, which I think we could probably say every version of iOS for the foreseeable future will have tweaks to liquid glass. Like, they're just going to keep fiddling with it.
I keep seeing some people saying, oh, Apple should revert liquid glass. No, they're not going to do it. Like, this thing is going to be here for the next year and beyond. But you know, if you don't like it, I mean, there's nothing you can do if you want to keep using Apple platforms at this point. They're going to keep tweaking liquid glass, but we're going to have a version of liquid glass for the foreseeable future. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. If there's going to be some kind of liquid glass customization for people who really dislike the glass effect. Beyond the accessibility setting to reduce motion and stuff like that. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they do. This is something that I half jokingly mentioned in my review. What if they did more materials without giving up on the liquid? Like, what if they did liquid, I don't know, metal, liquid liquid paper? I don't know, but like, does it have to be like like liquid chrome or something like
Yeah.
that. Like you can keep the fluidity of liquid glass with maybe just changing the material. I think that could also be an interesting trajectory for the future.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think it's going to be liquid glass for the next few years.
And I mean, everybody has their own experience with these things, but I don't get the sense that there has been some kind of widespread user revolt.
No.
Like it really doesn't feel like that at all. Like, I think we've seen this year people trying to make a gate out of everything, but there doesn't seem to have been any kind of like user disasters. Like in the way that I was surprised that people hated the Photos redesign as much as they did.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm seeing a lot of like new complaints about liquid glass.
You're not seeing the articles on magazines and other like really commercial publications saying users are complaining about the new design of the iPhone. Everybody's just sort of moving along, and I'm not saying that's a sign of great design. I'm just saying that maybe it's not the tragedy that some of us thought it was going to be.
Well, it also could be too early.
Maybe.
Apple have a button that they press, and that button starts updating people's phones, and that button has not been pressed yet.
Yeah.
So it is possible that right now, the people that have performed the update are the people that are interested. And what happens to the people that are not interested? Now, what could happen is the people that are not interested just don't even realize that anything's changed. I've heard a lot of that kind of like anecdotal things of like people update their phones and they're like, well, what do you think? It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So maybe people won't care, or maybe it will come to like, I don't know, late October, early November, Apple pushes it out, maybe with a 0.1 release, and it kind of starts the wide rollout. But I don't think we're there yet. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, something that I've noticed, kind of unrelated to an extent, I've heard from people who have updated, like regular people, non-Mac stories, non-podcast listeners, who have updated to iOS 26, didn't mention anything. People in real life, something that I've noticed over the past year, whenever the conversation of technology comes up, it's always about AI. Like I was getting my hair cut today, and I was at the barber shop, and I'm going to this new shop, and so they're like, so what do you do for a living? And so I'm explaining, like, I have a blog and also podcasts, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, we started talking about technology, and immediately the guy who I just met 10 minutes before is like, so is artificial intelligence a problem for you now? Like, the topic, it used to be like, oh, let's talk about the new iPhones, right? Let's talk about the new camera. Let's talk about the new design, whatever. For the past few months, whenever I go out or talk to people or they ask me about my job, the topic is, so what do you think of ChatGPT? What do you think of artificial intelligence? Like it's
the unavoidable thing, right? I mean, like, we're going to talk about it later on today, but ChatGPT has 800 million monthly active users, which is, it's like it's Facebook now, essentially. And every news story about business and technology right now is all AI. Like I'm not surprised everyone's talking to you about it because it's all anyone's talking about,
Yeah. And for the first time also today at the barber shop, I met the first person in real life that is like non-WWDC real life is what I mean. Like a regular person doing his job, saying, "Oh yeah, I pay for ChatGPT, like the €24 a month subscription." I had never met. So my first time today, because he kept saying like, "Oh yeah, I use it a lot," and unfortunately, this is the ugly part of the conversation. Unfortunately, I think they also use it for like put together advertisements and posters for the shop. It's like, I kept running into limits, so I figured I use it so much, might as well just pay €20 a month.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Personally, I'm not expecting that the barbershop guy is hiring an illustrator. Like, that's just not something like to make posters for him. I don't think that was something that they were going to do. he could have, but I don't
maybe.
imagine that he would have done that. And so it is not surprising to me that he would maybe then be like, I'll just get the AI to make it for me.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
thing is, though, like still, and I think for a long time, it's like that stuff is immediately noticeable. Like I walk past shops and I'm like, yep, okay, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that style before.
You can tell. I've started seeing ChatGPT graphics on products that I buy.
Yes.
Like there's this brand of dog food that I see at the store, and that dog on the box is clearly AI. Like absolutely, you can tell.
And to me, it's like, I make my decisions about that sometimes. I'm like, okay, right, like I know you're doing that now, and like that's a choice that you have made. And maybe there are some times where I'm like, I'm going to change the way that I'm thinking, but also at the same time, I'm also not surprised. Like this local pub is making their quiz night stuff using AI, where otherwise they would have just used clip art.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah,
that's just the way it's going to be.
yeah.
This week, you published a roundup of liquid glass apps on Mac Stories. I think you all picked a bunch that you're enjoying, and you wanted to talk about that a little bit here too.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight a couple of liquid glass updates that we like in third-party apps. I wanted to mention Matter, not the home automation protocol, but Matter, the Read Later app.
Okay.
I think they've done a really nice job with the liquid glass update, especially because it's one of the few apps that is using the new Apple Music style playback bar at the bottom with a top bar that collapses when you're scrolling. So it basically looks like the music app. And I kind of dig it. I really like it because I don't feel like I'm constantly switching in between apps, and the top bar collapsing makes sense when I'm listening to a story and I want to keep an eye. Usually, like, here's what I do. Like, put my iPhone in the kitchen when I'm doing things and I'm listening to an article. By the way, they also added new text-to-speech voices in Matter, and right now, I think Matter as the best implementation of text-to-speech voices that I've heard in third-party apps of this kind so far. It sounds better than Readwise Reader, for example. They have really good fake AI voices. But usually what I do is like I put my iPhone upright and I'm doing things in the kitchen and I'm listening to an article, but at the same time, the sort of the playback is synced to the text, right? So you can see the portion of text that is being spoken aloud is also highlighted in the article text. So if the AI mispronounces something and I want to take a quick glance at the text, I see more text on screen because everything is minimized at the bottom. So it shows more text all at once. And just in general, I think that implementation, that consistency of the playback UI element looks just like the Apple Music one. I think it's a nice touch. And I also like the liquid glass implementation in Lyre. That's Lire. It's an RSS reader. I've been using this one because it was one of the first apps to have a liquid glass design during the beta season.
Right.
It also supports iPhone and iPad, syncs with iNoReader, which is my RSS service of choice. And in addition to liquid glass, they've done a really nice job with like having these controls that morph when you go like from one screen to the next. Like, for example, when you are checking out your RSS items, there's a button in the top toolbar for selecting articles and sorting articles. But then if you go back, that button morphs into the icon of iNoReader because you're back in the main screen and it's showing you which service you're syncing with. Mm-hmm. That is one of the liquid glass sort of principles of like, you can morph the same UI element to indicate different things. I think they've done a really nice touch there. And in addition to liquid glass, Lyre also uses the on-device Apple Intelligence Foundation model to summarize news stories. So if you're opening, a clickbaity article or something that like doesn't immediately tell you what it's about, you can use the foundation model to give you a quick summary, and you can even put together a custom prompt for the foundation model if you want to have a specific style of summary, like give me 3 items in a bullet list or something. So these two apps, Lear I've been using for 2 months at this point. Matter is a recent discovery because they recently added the liquid glass and the new voices, and they've done a pretty good job, I think.
Lear is your RSS app of choice now. This is the one you're using all the time?
All the time on the iPhone and iPad. I don't like the Mac version. On the Mac, I just use the iNoreader web app in the browser.
Does it sync with other services? Yeah, okay. Feedly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it because, I don't know, Reader is like, I just don't feel confident it's going to last.
Yeah. The new Reader, you mean, or the classic
one?
The
old one. The old one is the one I use, the classic. And I just...
Yeah.
I feel like if a developer makes a decision like that, they're kind of being pretty clear about where they're... what they, what decisions they've made, which is totally fine. But then that leaves me as a customer to maybe consider other decisions. I'm gonna buy this. It's so strange to see an app with a price.
Right?
Like, I'm like in the apps, I'm like, oh, I just pay for this? I don't download it first?
Yeah.
How odd. Like, that's just not... I feel like I'm very seldom met with that, especially with a productivity app.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just pay up front, that's it? No subscription at all?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Gotta say, like, I respect that, but like... they should, you gotta, these days, free and have me pay every year. Come in RSS, I'll give you money every year. But I'm saying that, and people aren't going to like it, especially when I mentioned the first app in my selection. It's Fantastical. I think Fantastical, and the reason I've picked it here, I think is a really good example of liquid glass being used sparingly to great effect. The iOS 26 updates for Fantastical, it really they just very subtly tweaked some of the UI. Like they flattened some of it. They made it a little bit more kind of like consistent, and they essentially just moved some of the navigation down to the bottom rather than at the top, which just makes way more sense for the app because the stuff at the top is like my calendar, and then I'm seeing that more clearly and without interruption. And then you've got like your calendar sets and your options and stuff are all little buttons at the bottom. And I just think in general, some of the effects that they're using, I just think this is a good example of an app that already had a pretty distinct design that didn't really need to change, just doing a good job of refreshing menus. I think that is a underrated thing about Liquid Glass and iOS 26 that I've really appreciated. It has forced a lot of developers to reconsider their menu structure. To like have the big buttons, like the big search button, and they're not doing, and I'd say Fantastical is not doing search the way that I would want. They're not doing it with the bottom bar, like it still pops up a sheet. But again, like the sheets look good, like in the way that like Todoist sheets look good. It's different, but it looks good. Like the text entry fields and that kind of stuff, like it's nicer. So I like that. But I have another recommendation because I also kind of just want to talk about this app for a minute. It's called Athlytic, Athlytic. This app had been recommended to me a bunch when I started talking about the fact that I was using a Whoop band.
Yeah.
Because this is like, what if it's the Whoop app, but it's using your health stuff, like from your Apple Watch? And it's a really great app. It's great. Like, I've now decided that when my Whoop subscription ends, I'm not going to be renewing, and I'm going to use this app instead. They have basically all of the features that Whoop have with some terminology and charts that actually just make more sense to me than the way that Whoop shows them. And this app, it's very visually strong. Like it's very colorful and has a lot of like really bold UI, and I think they have done a really good job of like using a lot of like frosted glass looks, and there's like kind of like light leakage kind of so it looks like there's like illuminate, they're like the rings, like the recovery rings and stuff are illuminated behind a sheet of glass, so it's kind of got that look that the app icons have too, where it's like these two frosted things on top of each other. and they're also liberally, in a good way, using the loop effect to jump between like graphs and stuff. So you can be like 7 days, 30 days, that kind of stuff. And they're using that, the little glass bubble that pops out when you go between the selectors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really recommend Athletic, though. I think this app is genius. Honestly, I expect that Apple will buy this app. This is my prediction. Yeah. They do the best job of showing Apple health information that I have seen. Like, the only reason I've used the Whoop band is I feel like it does a really good job of correlating pieces of information and showing it to me in a way that makes sense to me. And this is exactly what Athletic is doing. Like, they're pulling out a bunch of pieces of information, your vitals, your sleep. And I really like their exertion. It's the same as Whoop, right? Where it's like, okay, we've taken a look at how you slept and what your day was like yesterday. We now recommend you do not exceed, you do not exceed this exertion rate and kind of thing. So I all of that stuff is fantastic. This app is wonderful. Like, I'm really into it. Like, and they just do a really good job of explaining everything. There's a good explainer text with all of the stats that they're giving you, so you can very easily find out more. I think it's made by like 2 people.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that it was essentially in response to the fact that Whoop exists, but you already, if you're wearing an Apple Watch, you have all of this information, but Apple just doesn't bring it together. So I really recommend that, and I think that their iOS 26 redesign, I think they did a really good job of like showing the way of like showing things and keeping their style and adapting it very well.
This looks great. Okay.
You should try it out. You should just try it anyway, because you don't have to do anything else, right? Like, it's not asking you to do anything. It's just bringing in your data from the health app. I recommend you give it a go, just because it's an interesting app. Like, what they're doing is quite interesting. It's like I went to their website to add it to the show notes. It's a Squarespace website. It's like, they're just making it happen, right? Like, I was trying to like look into them a little bit, and in their about this app kind of thing, it's just signed by 2 people. Where is it? About I saw it there somewhere a second ago. Gary and Jacqueline. Like, I just think that's cool. It's just
incredible.
2 people, I guess, making this app, or like a very small team. And they're doing some, and like, it seems to be very successful. They have like tens of thousands of reviews on the App Store. Like, I just think it's awesome. Like, just a kind of what appears to be a pretty small team.
What a story!
Building
I
something
love
like
it.
this. I think it's great. And it's I'm really this is one of my favorite new apps in a long time. Like, I'm blown away by how good this is, and like how good a job they're doing of making me feel better about my health in a way, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, like, I understand this now. Like, I've got a bit of a primer from using Whoop, but I think that they are doing things just better than what Whoop is doing. That's what I would say.
This episode of Connected is made possible by Ecamm. If you're looking to get into video and you're a Mac user, look no further than Ecamm. Ecamm is awesome. It's the leading video production and live streaming studio built for the Mac. That means it's really easy to simplify your workflow, because Ecamm knows about everything that makes the Mac great. You can get started quickly and have everything on hand to create whatever you need with video, whether it's streaming, recording, podcast, or presenting. You need high quality video. And with Ecamm, you can screen share, use multiple cameras, and even direct the show in real time with their live camera switcher. My favorite thing about Ecamm is that it is a good Mac app. A lot of streaming software just isn't. And with Ecamm, you can use all the great system tools built into macOS and really produce some amazing video. So things like logos, titles, lower thirds, and graphics, all really easy to manage. You can drop in video clips, bring on interview guests, and even use a green screen easily. Ecamm's members are marketing professionals, podcasters, musicians, church leaders, bloggers, and content creators of all kinds. And if you're on the pro level plan, you can enjoy Ecamm for Zoom. You can send Ecamm Live's audio and video output into a Zoom meeting, webinar, or event, And then you can add up to 8 Zoom participants as camera sources in your own broadcast or recording, plus automatically create individual participant and audio-video recordings, and add Zoom chat messages to your broadcast or recording as text overlays. To get 1 month free today, go to eCam.com/connected and use the code CONNECTED. That's 1 month free of eCam Live at eCam, eCamm, eCam.com/connected. Go there now and check it out. Our thanks to eCam for the support of the show and all of Relay.
So I threatened that we would. we would be talking about ChatGPT today. They've had a pretty big week. They had their dev days. I actually would just like to say what I don't want to talk about today at all is Sora.
Oh no, gross.
And what I will do is I'm going to put in the show notes a 3-minute video from Hank Green, where Hank Green basically shouts for 3 minutes about Sora.
Yeah.
I could not put better my feelings about this than what Hank has put together. So I recommend, if you want to know how I feel about Sora, go watch Hank's video. Hank will tell you how I feel. It's brilliant. The man goes mad. It's a wonderful video that I think fully explains why this technology is terrible and shouldn't exist.
Yes.
So
I haven't watched the video, but I agree. Mm-hmm.
You should watch it. It's 3 minutes.
Okay.
Don't watch it now because you won't be able to hear me. But he's a great communicator and he does a great job of kind of like explaining some of the issues around this kind of stuff and nightmarish.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're not here to talk about Sora.
No, we're not.
I wanted to talk about apps in ChatGPT. That I think is a really interesting story that came out of their Dev Day event.
Yep.
So in case you haven't seen this, what OpenAI announced is the ability that right now is in testing in the United States, not yet in Europe.
It's not in the UK either, which is
not in the UK. With select partners, with more coming soon and more coming hopefully with an app directory at the end of the year, to have third-party apps inside ChatGPT while you're having conversations with ChatGPT. This is based on a new apps SDK that OpenAI has rolled out for any third-party developer to work with and integrate their product into ChatGPT. Now, this is interesting, and I linked it on Mac Stories. It's interesting from a philosophical perspective, but also from a technical perspective. The technical perspective is sort of like quintessential OpenAI in the sense that they are abstracting all of the complexity of what's going on behind the scenes from the users, very much unlike Anthropic and Claude.
Mm-hmm.
They have found a way to productize MCP, because this is what it is behind the scenes. It's all MCP, but it's designed and presented to users in a way that you wouldn't even know it's MCP. What they're saying is, what if you could talk to Spotify in ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to search for songs and make playlists for you and, give you recommendations based on what you like? What if you could, what if you were browsing for homes and, you could call up Zillow and compare prices and also ask questions about the neighborhood and sort of points of interest nearby? That's sort of the idea, where OpenAI is aware of the fact that although people spend a lot of time inside ChatGPT, and by all intents and purposes, more and more people these days, realistically speaking, by the end of the year, we're going to have 1 billion people using ChatGPT on a weekly basis. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is not a fad. People spend a lot of time in ChatGPT, but people are still using apps. People are still using other experiences beyond ChatGPT.
Or just other services, like people, ChatGPT is not everything, right?
It's not everything, but OpenAI is quite bluntly saying, we want ChatGPT we want you to think of ChatGPT as the operating system, and we're going to integrate with apps inside the operating system. And I don't think, so that's the technical aspect, right? It's all based on MCP. There's an SDK.
Here's my question for you. Is it pure MCP?
It's fancy MCP.
Because
it's
this is the thing that I was wondering, because we spoke about this a few weeks ago, like a little bit, where what I wonder is like, and I think I said at the time, like, what is the benefit to a company like OpenAI to adopt this open standard? Like, why would they not just make their own? Like, OpenAI would be able to tell Spotify, here is our SDK, like it's just our own technology, and they would integrate with it because ChatGPT has 800 million users, right? So like, is it done in such a way that by Spotify supporting the ChatGPT app, that it would also work with Claude, no work needed?
Yeah, I think you identified the reason why. It is done in a way that you still need to make an MCP server. You still need to know MCP. You still need to build that infrastructure in your code, in your web service, to deal with MCP-based connections. What OpenAI is doing is adding a few extra bells and whistles on top in terms of visual presentation and interaction inside ChatGPT. That is what the Apps SDK is. And the reason why they're adopting this, I think there's a couple. The first one is MCP has momentum. And, we have seen over the past couple of years a few different standards. Pretty much the entire industry has rallied around MCP at this point, which is not a surprise that Apple even may add some form of MCP to iOS. When everybody's pretty much in agreement that that's the standard they want to use, you got to use it. And you got to make it easy for developers to use it.
I feel like I understand it a little bit more now, where it's like for ChatGPT, they just don't care. It's like, just do MCP, whatever. Like, it's like the internet, but what they want is for you to then go in and build the UI and the experience, right? So like, if, as you're saying, if anything, the MCP part makes it easy, like in ways that maybe some of ChatGPT's competitors would not be able to convince Spotify to make UI, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Perplexity, if they do it, like Spotify's gonna be like,
we're gonna write UI just for Perplexity or just for Claude, maybe. But the other reason for OpenAI to say we gotta build this off MCP is OpenAI is on a quest. They are on two quests. One is to become the most popular AI service in the world and to literally become an operating system. They have said so this week. But the other is to take away as many developers, as much enterprise as possible from Anthropic. This is why over the past couple of months, they have invested so many resources into growing GPT Codex, which is their programming utility, to the point where they have now in some leaderboards and in some usage sort of statistics, they have overtaken Claude Code, which was for a lot of people like the default sort of programming assistant, right? They want to become they want to be the next Anthropic for the workplace, but they also want to be a consumer product, right? They want to get all the money, essentially. And this is why. So with MCP and apps, in a way, is a perfect storm because you're making it easier for the Figmas and the GitHubs of the world to integrate with ChatGPT because it's like infrastructure that they've already built, but you're giving it a better UI, and that is better for consumers.
It's interesting, right? Where it's like, Altman is just like, no, I won't allow people to think that Claude is better at code. Like, I won't allow that. Because that is it seems to be the understood knowledge, right? Is that if you want to do code, you go to Claude. We call it Claude. That's what they call it. You go to, if you're a developer, you use Claude, right? Like, it seems to be at least last week was the understood idea, and I guess they're just not happy with that, right?
That's been changing this summer. That sort of mindset has been changing with the release of GPT-5 and Codex, especially Codex CLI, Codex Cloud. They have a whole bunch of products named Codex, but the sense that I'm getting from the people that I follow, from the conversations that I see, is that the tide has been turning a little away from Claude as the assistant for coding and onto Codex and GPT-5 Codex.
Okay.
So that's, which is, I mean, obviously, these companies, especially Anthropic and OpenAI, they're going to try and one-up each other every other week.
Yep.
Just now, it seems, for example, that Anthropic may be on the cusp of releasing a web version of Claude Code and also iOS support for Claude Code. So it's all going to be...
mean?
It means that you will be able, if you're a developer, you will be able to kick off like the little remote coding assistant from your phone.
From the app, so it's
From
it's
Claude
using
on
the
iOS.
coding. Okay, I thought you meant like, I don't know, like coding on your iPhone. I don't know.
No. There are companies doing that, but no. This, what it means is that
Yes.
you wanna handle like a pull request, or set the assistant to work on something. You can do so remotely from your phone and have the task complete in a GitHub repo in the background in the cloud. That's sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I used an app. I don't remember what it was called now. I saw people talking about it on Mastodon. Like hey, you can build Swift UI on your iPhone.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Couldn't
Yeah.
have gone more wrong. Like,
Yeah.
just disaster. I was just like intrigued. I was like, this can't be as easy as they say. And it absolutely was not. It just didn't work at all. I was like, okay, good stuff.
I've had the same experience. In any case, so that's the technical aspect. The philosophical aspect is that I think if you were to look, 6 months from now, a year from now, what's the intention for OpenAI here, right? They've pretty much said that they want ChatGPT to be, and to think of ChatGPT as an operating system that sort of is the glue and connects you to all the other experiences in your life. It's already a search engine. It's already a word knowledge engine and a personal assistant. For some people, it's a therapist. For some people, it's a virtual doctor. I'm not here to cast judgment whether that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that people use it like that. For some people, it's a shop assistant, which is why OpenAI is happy to introduce a shop experience in ChatGPT.
Yep.
So they want ChatGPT to be an OS. And what is an OS without apps, right? So that's the obvious next step is, what if ChatGPT could be the home of a little app store where the apps that you already use could be called and invoked and interacted with from the app, from the assistant that you spend a lot of time texting to or talking to on a daily basis already. And there are early signs of developers being more than happy to jump on board with this idea. Just a few minutes ago, I believe Simon Storing published a blog post showing how he was able to put together a basic MCP server to control his Philips Hue lights from ChatGPT using natural language and using the new Apps SDK. Now, it's probably too early to say, oh, this is going to be the new App Store gold rush. I think any notion of App Store gold rush is behind us, unfortunately. But I think it's a first sign of a potential problem for Apple, for Google to a lesser extent because they have Gemini, but for the classic traditional App Store model, which is, you go to an App Store, you find an app, you find a game, you download, that's an icon on your home screen. What happens to that model where your default launcher is no longer a home screen, but your default launcher, your default space on your computer is a ChatGPT window?
Well, and then ultimately, we'll talk about this in a bit, the idea being that, you're also not, eventually, you're not using one of those either, right? You're using something that OpenAI sells you. Like, that is the ultimate end goal, whether they get there or not, right? But that is the idealistic goal that they're setting for themselves here of like, we're building an operating system. Operating systems operate on something.
Yeah.
And would OpenAI not like to be the next platform? Right? Like, this is what they're trying to do here. And I am following your thing here, where I think that this is a quote from your article, right? If I were Apple, I'd start growing increasingly concerned at the prospect of another company controlling the interactions between users and their favorite apps.
Yeah.
I think that this is potentially the biggest risk that Apple has faced in the last 10 years. Like, I do not currently see a path where they are unseated, but this is the first time that I think a user base scale and a kind of effectiveness could suggest it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, Facebook were the other potential company, right? But I think over time, they have found that they cannot execute on the important things that would be needed to own the platform. And essentially have had to piggyback on what Apple was doing, where we are entering into a new era now, kind of like it or not. This is where we are. I do expect the bubble will burst, but the bubble bursting does not mean that all of this goes away. It just changes the money, right? Like, because don't forget, there was a very important bubble that burst, and it was the .com bubble, when we still have websites. It's just there will be, and there has to be, a resetting of the money aspect, because it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten absolutely out of hand. But this technology now is something that people have integrated into their lives and they rely on. And I think that looking at something like this, like apps, right? Like, and interactions between systems, and this being a platform, and the thing that OpenAI is not trying to do is to do all of it, right? They don't seem to want to make their own streaming music service, but they will integrate with others. I think that this creates the potential for a problem. But again, it's about, what will happen to ChatGPT here? Will they be able to like execute on it, or are they going to fall apart somewhere down the chain as well? We'll find out.
Yeah, is this going to be something that takes off? Is it going to be, one of those experiments like custom GPTs from a couple of years ago that they rolled out, and we thought, oh, this is going to change everything, and then they were kind of became abandonware.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but you cannot, I guess what we're trying to say is that you cannot ignore a service that says we have almost 1 billion active users and we want to be a platform.
Yep.
You cannot pretend that's not a potential cause of concern.
Especially in the speed that they have done it. Like, that's the unique thing about ChatGPT, is the speed that it got to what is essentially 1 billion users. Nothing's ever done that before. It's been like a couple of years.
Yeah. Speaking of that.
So here is the other shoe, though, in this scenario, which is to get to what I think is the real risk is, well, they need to have devices, right? They know this, which is why they spent a lot of their fake money to buy Johnny Ive. There was a report in the Financial Times this week about kind of like Apple's Apple about OpenAI's current spot here, like how they're doing when it comes to the Johnny of it all and the devices of it all. I'm gonna read this is quite quote heavy, but I think it just benefits just reading the quotes. So this is from the Financial Times article. OpenAI and star designer Johnny Ive are grappling with a series of technical issues with their secretive new artificial intelligence device as they push to launch a blockbuster tech product next year. Now, just as a clarification, what they always said was, I think they were always going to debut it in 2026 to ship in 2027. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Their aim is to create a palm-sized device without a screen that can take audio and visual cues from the physical environment and respond to users' requests. People familiar with the plan said OpenAI and Ive had yet to solve critical problems that could delay the device's release. One person said the device would be always on rather than triggered by a word or a prompt. The device's sensors would gather data throughout the day that would help to build its virtual assistant's memory. One source said the concept is that you should have a friend who's a computer who isn't your weird AI girlfriend, like Siri, but better. At the OpenAI Dev Day, there was like Johnny Ive appeared and here he is. And they had like a bit of a fireside chat. It's two quotes that I think are interesting that kind of put a different picture, like a different face on this, but this is the same story. Altman said hardware is hard. And Johnny said that they had 15 to 20 really compelling ideas, but it would be better if they had, quote, 3 good ones.
Yeah, okay.
Now, what I'll say is that last part, I'm seeing a lot of people dunk on this, and I get it. But that to me just sounds like what product design is. Like
that is part of the creative process.
It's part of it. The problem is when you build up so much hype beforehand to commit to showing something on a time frame, you shouldn't be in this spot still. You should be at the 3 good ones stage before you're like, hey, we're going to change the world and we're going to show you next year. Like you kind of need to be at the 3 good ones stage, I think, before you do that. But the part of like, we have a bunch of ideas and we're just not sure which one we're going to go with yet. Like that's a very normal part of product design. But you should have kept your mouth closed before you get to that.
Probably. I mean, from my perspective, this idea of the always-on AI companion device is being explored right now by other companies. There's the weird one that plastered friend advertisements all over New York and San Francisco. There's the limitless pendant. There's the a new one called Pocket AI. They're all sort of trying to converge around the same idea of like, what if AI could always be listening and building a context window of your life? Kind of creepy idea. I mean, all of this is obviously kind of creepy, the idea that there's a little computer listening to every word you say without a wake word.
Yeah, the way I describe it, I wrote it on notes, is potentially interesting, definitely unsettling.
It is unsettling. There's obviously, the biggest problem here is that when you're dealing with hardware, I keep having these two thoughts. One, you're going to have to convince people to buy and carry an additional piece of gear with a battery with them all the time.
Yeah, so apparently it's about the size of a phone with cameras, mics, and speakers, but no screen. And it's like...
So you're carrying a phone without a screen, right?
That's what it sounds like on the face of it, which is easy to laugh at. And it is very easy to laugh at. It's like, well, what are you building? I mean, I think the devil will be in the details as to how big and how it works and how it looks and da-da-da-da-da. But it does seem like... I don't think I want to carry another kind of phone around with me. Like that's like at least smart glasses is a different form factor. Watches are a different form factor. This is just like something I would put next to my iPhone. Like the whole time I'm going to be like, why doesn't my iPhone just do that? And that's a problem.
My other kind of obvious take is that, well, what happens when Google first and then Apple figure out how to build these features into a regular phone? Like, what if your regular iPhone or your regular Google Pixel phone could also be AI companions, quote unquote? I think my hot take is that OpenAI and Johnny Ive are gonna fall backwards into building a phone eventually, because they're gonna realize, well, we just built a phone without a screen. Might as well just make a phone and make it the ChatGPT phone. Which is funny because it's pretty much the exact same path that Facebook followed. You remember the Facebook phone? That used to be a real product. Eventually, all of these companies are gonna realize, well, people are still gonna. I keep fundamentally believing that people are still gonna fundamentally want to carry a phone with a screen. That is a once in a lifetime product that you just cannot take away from people.
Yeah, but at some point, something else will come along. Like I fundamentally believe this.
People are still gonna be wanting to take a look at pictures that their friends send, or people are gonna want to take a look at funny memes. Like, as long as the human race have eyes, I think we will want to be looking at something.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid. I don't think it's that stupid. Like, I think the phone is such a it's like the smartphone is, in my eyes, like, in terms of inventions, like, as important as the printing press. Like,
it is absolutely, but that's the thing that I like. Well, there was a time before, right? And like, and every invention was the biggest thing. So like,
and you still use a computer, and now you're still using a phone.
Yeah, but I just don't shut my like imagination off to a scenario where there's something better than a smartphone. Like, I don't know what it is, right? But like, maybe it is that like we're all wearing these glasses and we just don't need it anymore, you know?
Maybe, but I guess what I'm saying is that product is not gonna be here in 2026 or 2027.
Yes. Very
so,
fair.
which is why I
down
think,
to earth. Great point.
Which is why I think, as the pressure mounts on Altman and Ive to show something, I think they're gonna say, you know what? Here's the GPT phone.
Yeah.
I think because honestly, that could be a very compelling device. Build it off Android. I don't think you want to build an entire OS from scratch. Here's a hot take. I could see Ivan Altman say, well, okay, look, we have this idea, AI always with you, but we got to make a phone, right? Because people still want a phone. Otherwise, how do we convince people to carry around an object with them? So we're making a phone. But I could see that phone being powered not by Android, not by iOS, obviously, but by something more akin to WebOS. Once again, a web-based operating system. It would be in line with the fact that all of these AI services are built with web technologies, cloud-based.
I mean, this is what Humane did. This is what Humane did.
Kind of. Yes. You know, it would be web apps today are such a completely different story from web apps 20 years ago with the suite solution and all of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would be so unrealistic to imagine this scenario where these two guys are like, all right, cool, look, we got to make hardware. People still love phones. It's 2027. We got to show something. We're making a phone. Okay, we're making a phone. We don't want to, obviously, we cannot build an entire OS from scratch. Let's just use web technologies. They're good enough. They're powerful enough. They're going to be even better in 2 years. And we're going to sell a phone that is an AI. We're going to call it the ChatGPT phone or something. And honestly, I think that could be a compelling product. Right now, a little battery pack with microphones and cameras without a screen, I don't think it's a compelling product. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. In theory, I mean, again, this is like devil's in the details, right? Like we genuinely, like, even just reading this, it doesn't mean anything. Like, something the size of a phone with a camera, mic, and speaker, it doesn't mean anything, right? Like,
it's basically an enclosure for a battery and a bunch of sensors.
But like, this is about anybody putting any imagination on it, right? Like, you're just reading it and you're like, I know what that is. But like, if you're to believe them, which now I feel less confident in my belief than I was when they announced this thing together, because my expectation was they actually went into this agreement with a product idea ready to go, which now it seems like they're not. So I'm a little bit like, I don't know. But like, it could be cool and interesting. I don't think that the first product will be a phone. I don't. I agree with you that maybe at this point, maybe it actually should be. I just don't think they're going to go that way. I don't think that they could. I don't think they could start there. I think it's too big a hurdle to jump. I don't think it's gonna. I think it might end up there. I think they might do the first thing. It doesn't really work, but maybe it has some promise. And then they're like, all right, let's jump the phone now. Because they're not going to be ready. They're not going to be ready at all for 2027. But I also now think they're probably not going to have something to show next year. Like, I think it's shaping up to be, if they don't have their three good ones at this point, it's not looking great.
No.
12 months to be like, here you go. Here's what we're convinced is the right move. It feels like it would take longer than that to build something of this complexity. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. Good luck to them.
But I do want to come back to something you said a second ago where you're like, Apple and Google could do this, right? They absolutely could, in theory, right? Do this. There's no reason in theory why they couldn't. I mean, Apple has shown that theory is nicer than shipping for them, at least.
They're good at theory.
They're very good at theory. They're good at the theory part. I think the situation though is, and I guess what Altman and Ive are hopefully trying to bet on is that people care about OpenAI more.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what they're betting on here, which is like, yes, in theory Google could do this, but do people want to use Gemini over OpenAI or like ChatGPT? Do people want to use this new Siri, whatever it's going to be, over ChatGPT? When they'll just be like, hey, but you know what's powering it though, right?
Yeah.
So that's I guess what they're betting on is that they will have the brand and the users at that point that they will be able to kind of brute force something into existence.
That is true. That is true.
You get like 0.01% of your customer base to buy this device, and you've got a pretty good start.
Yeah.
For a piece of hardware.
With 1 billion users, yes. Yeah.
You know? Like everybody talks so highly about the Meta Ray-Bans, but they're only, I think it's like single-digit millions. It's nice hardware. It's well executed. OpenAI would be very happy with that, I would expect, from some kind of like companion device that you put on your desk and talk to.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. This is going to be the story, though, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
This is the story, whether we like it or not. Because, I mean, this is something that, like, I'll co-opt a little bit of Hank Green's rant here, to just be like, you're supposed to. You came on the scene to talk about creating intelligence, and now you are just making videos, and eventually you're going to go into advertising. It's like, well, that's what all this was for? Advertising? That doesn't feel like enough. Like, you're doing all of this just to make money from ads? Like, that's not it.
Yeah.
Right? And like, that's how I feel. Someone was like, really? Like, that can't be it, right? Like, you have more, and I think potentially it's starting to show that maybe they don't have more.
Maybe they're figuring it out as they go.
Yeah,
that's
but
sort of
that wasn't the promise, right?
No. They wanted to build something great for all of humanity, right? Wasn't that the mission?
Yes. And now we're just what? A social feed with ads in it?
We're watching slop videos of Sam Altman, doing skibidi toilet and stuff. So yeah.
What a sentence.
Yeah, I know, right?
What a sentence. And that will actually just do it for the episode. Federico ended the episode. If you'd like to catch the show notes for this week, just go to your podcast app. If your podcast app doesn't support show notes, get a new podcast app. All right? That's my commitment to you. Just get a new one.
Simple enough. Yeah.
Get a new one. If you want to support the show, and if you want to get ad-free listening with longer episodes every single week, go to getconnectedpro.co. Because Steven's not here this week, we were pro gamers in the pro show this week, and so you can get that. If you want to find Federico online, according to our show notes, he is the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net. There's no O, so it's like you're the editor and the chief.
Editor-in-chief.
Editor-in-chief.
Like rock and roll. It's like rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll, editor-in-chief, MacStories.net. That is Federico Viticci. Steven's not here this week, but you can go read his work over at 512 Pixels. You can find me at theenthusiast.net and Cortex Brand. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our sponsors this week. That's Gusto and Ecamm for supporting the show. We'll be back next week. Until then, say goodbye, Federico.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.